So, we need to talk about Ethel. Are Ethel's actions ethical? I mean, she takes care of Cora, but there's something kind of problematic about the way she does it. I mean, at the end of her little inner chapter on page 196, she finishes, or the narrator in third person free and direct discourse finishes her chapter with the words, "A savage to call her own at last." Yeah, you heard that right. So Ethel, the woman who is taking care of Cora when she gets a very bad stomach bug while hidden in the attic, Ethel seems to conceptualize her care for Cora around ownership and the sort of possession of a whole lot of different types of roles rolled into one. But the common thread throughout all of them is possession. We see Ethel with a sort of mothering love toward, or love is not probably the right word, a sort of loving motherly attitude or motherly aspect toward Cora as she cleans her body and gives her broth and reads to her. We see her with the taking on the role of the great white savior from Victorian missions discourse. And we know that, in fact, she dreamt of being a missionary from the time she was a little girl to go and, save people in deepest, darkest Africa when she's teaching Cora Bible passages. We also see a sort of deep love coming from her childhood friendship with Jasmine that also is mixed into her care for Cora. Except all of these, and I've been using the word love because sometimes I don't have another word for it, but it's a very problematic love if it's love. And it's the sort of love that seems to be all about Ethel fulfilling something that she really needs for herself and ultimately possessing Cora in some way. And this is marked as even more problematic when we think about Ethel's own father, who bridged the gap between the downstairs where Ethel's white family lived and the upstairs where Jasmine, their black slave, lived every night, starting when Jasmine was 14. You get this strange overlay of religion and sexual violence combined together in the ownership of Jasmine and even hinted at in Ethel's care for Cora. And so what do we make of Ethel's care for Cora? Because all of that said, she does hide her at risk to her own life in her attic. Okay, begrudgingly. Her husband's the one who first brings Cora in, but she does do it. And she continues to hide Cora for an extended period of time. And then when Cora becomes ill, she tends to her, she cares for her. She even sends Fiona the maid away with a week's pay to be able to continue to hide Cora. So the question we then have is her care ethical? Because on the one hand, like on paper, she's doing the right thing. She's saving Cora's life. But it seems to be for all the wrong reasons and in a really wrong sort of way. So one thing that's helpful when we're thinking about Ethel and whether or not her actions are ethical is to think about Donald, to whom she's not really compared, but who she's juxtaposed with in the chapter. For Donald, the Underground Railroad depot was his treasure. We're told that some might call freedom the dearest currency of all, but it was not what Martin expected. And this is when Martin inherits from his dad the Underground Railroad depot. Donald's diary, set on a barrel on the station platform and surrounded by colored stones and a kind of shrine, described how his father had always been disgusted by his country's treatment of the Ethiopian tribe. Chattel slavery was an affront to God, and slavers an aspect of Satan. Donald had provided aid to slaves his whole life whenever possible, and with whatever means at hand, ever since he was a small boy, and misdirected some bountyman who badgered him over a runaway. So you've got Donald, who's the entire reason that Cora is there, right? Because she had ended up getting out at the wrong stop in North Carolina that wasn't even supposed to be open, that Martin had inherited. And that's how she ends up at Ethel's house in the first place. So you've got Donald, who felt that chattel slavery was an aspect of Satan. And then you have Ethel, who seems to be just creating a different form of slavery for Cora. I mean, she does the right thing. She takes her in and she cares for her. But when is doing the right thing not the right thing? So for Aristotle, doing the right thing is only good, like only true moral goodness, if you're doing it like out of pure motives, right? If you do the right thing because you're supposed to or out of force, well, then it might still be the right thing to do, but it kind of cancels out the moral virtue of it. And for Kant has a similar sort of attitude that it might still be the right choice, but he wants you to be doing it for the right reasons as well, although he doesn't quite cancel it out to the extent that Aristotle would. Mill might be on board as like, nope, all that matters is that the action that you take, what your reasons for doing it are, don't matter. But this is a really helpful thing for us to think about because it starts to put pressure on some of the all that matters is my action mentality. Because while it's true that, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and we can't just read the intentions of an act to decide if it's ethical, on the other hand, if you're doing the right thing for all the wrong reasons, like Ethel is, well, it kind of feels a bit empty. And while it's better than doing the wrong thing, it still participates in the sort of systemic and structural ideas of ownership and possession that undergird slavery in the first place. So while it may be an improvement, in the end, is Ethel maybe just a different type of slaver?